I think I'll jump straight into it. After you've registered and logged in, you'll come to the home page exactly similar to this. You should have 4 or 5 examples of civil jobs, building jobs, some Gantt, and a couple of jobs, just to give you an indication of what Methvin provides. On the top right here is where you start create new projects. So I'm going to just start with a Takeoff one. So you can either click here and select from your directory, or you can just drag and drop a file straight on here. Downloads and Villa. Okay, as soon as it's loaded the first page, the calibration window opens on the bottom right here, and as you start measuring or clicking with your mouse, this line is for setting the actual scale. So we'll work in feet and hit save. So what we've done is set the scale now. Across the right are all our options. Here you can share a project with a colleague, so you can work simultaneously on the same project. They don't have to be registered. You can just type in their email address, and as soon as they receive the email and register, they'll have full access. This is to upload more folders. Sorry, this is to look at the uploaded folders. This is to upload more folders. These two are for zooming and saving. Not really quite required because it auto saves as we go. That's to print to PDF once you're finished. That's to export to Excel. This is a pivot table grid view export, and this is for resetting the scale. Yeah, and across the top here are different options for measuring. So let's start. We can start with the count for argument and sake, and what can we count on here? So let's imagine we were counting downpipes for the roof. There aren't any listed here, so I'm just going to select a couple of places where they may be. And then what happens on the left-hand side here, all the measures are populated. And next option is the parallelogram option, polygon option, I should rather say. And that, once you select that, you'll see it starts a new measure on the right-hand side there, and you can run through. I'm not going to be very accurate today, just because of time constraints. And let's say that's floor type 1. And we can grab, if we click that button again, it creates a new floor type. And let's say this has got a totally different type of floor finish. So that's why we've selected a different floor measure. Let's say this one we wanted to continue. A quick way to carry on with the same measure is just to click the plus there. And that means we've now jumped back into this option. And double clicking ends the measure. And if you hover over and you hold down Control, it lets you edit the points and get them a little bit more accurately if you're off. So you've got the option here as well to measure. Let's say we're doing some air conditioning for this building. We can start by counting the vents in each room. These are just arbitrary spots I'm selecting, but it'll be something along those lines. And you can give that a name of, and then you can pick up the lengths, the runs. So I've already selected a length measure here, just to continue with it or to start with it. we can say that the air conditioner units, let's say they're sitting just outside the building here, and we want to run the vents something along the line like this. And piping, not really the vents. And same thing for here. Double clicking ends, so I'll just start again. That's the runs for the electric, for the air conditioning. And let's say you've got some electrical to do, you can start its runs as well, and run the same thing. You'd run them from the distributor board to wherever the plugs are on the buildings. For the drops here, with this software, you'd have to export to Excel, and for each run, allow for the distance from the roof or from the floor up, or vice versa. Any questions, guys, at the moment? And girls? Silence is golden. Yes, so we've got an option here as well for walls. Here it asks you to put in the height of the wall, and this is for picking up the wall heights in plan view. And as soon as you, I didn't show you that as well, if you click by mistake in the wrong place, escape once will remove that previous click, and if you click it a second time, it removes the full measure and you have to start again. That'll pick up the walls for you, double click. So it's telling you it's 26.54 meters, but when you have a look here, it'll times it by the 2.6, making it 71 square meters. Any questions? Let's just jump into a roof option. Save time, you can set the scale here again, and let's say that's 5 meters, and you can tell it the same scale for every page, and hit save. That just saves you some time and effort when you jump between pages. So we can quickly pick up the areas of the roofs here. I'm not going to spend much time trying to get it too accurate. That's telling you it's 122 square meters. If we right click on there and go to materials, it gives you an option here to add the pitch of the roof to allow for the additional measure. And so it's gone from 122 to 126 meters, which is allowed for the angle of the roof because we're measuring in plan. Save that. Any questions, guys and girls? So a few options. Let me show you this as well. So behind each of these measures, if we jump in here, you'll see that it shows each independent measure and which page it's come from. Pages are sitting here on the right-hand side, as I showed you earlier, as we selected. So most of the measures come off page 2, and the roof has come off page 4. So we can go and put in roof. Let's jump back to the plan, and we'll pick up the footpath and accessway. Go create a new measure. Quickly pick up the footpath here. Not with the most accurate of effort here, unfortunately. And same as before, if you right click and go materials, now you can add a whole lot of material. So with one measure, you can pick up call that just the footpath, and we can call this one the footpath finishing. And we can call this the concrete. And we can have a subbase. So if we leave that as 1, sorry, and then that's meter squared, and we put this in 0.25, it's the, sorry, let's make that 150 thick concrete. So that's just a multiplier to convert the measurement you've got here of 82 square meters. And what it's doing is you times it up by 0.15 to give you the cubic meters of concrete required. And let's say we've got a 200 thick slab, 0.2 slab of subbase, thickness of subbase, and we want to convert it into tons. So we've got 2.4 tons per cubic meter. That'll give us a unit of tons. Once we save those, as soon as we export to Excel, it will have all those measures for you. Come on. So nicely throws out your measure for the whole job. And this you can then import into any other pricing application or into Methvin's pricing application, or tidy it up and send it off to your client, whatever suits you best. Any questions, people? Silence is golden. Oh, what's going on? Is this thing still working? That is. Sorry, gents. For a minute there, nobody was talking. Some feedback will be much appreciated as we go along. No need to be shy. It's a good turnout. Can everybody hear me fine? I'm guessing so, otherwise you'd have left a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'll carry on. Okie dokie. So this is the breadcrumbs. This takes you back to all your files you've got. I didn't show you that. So the best way this application works is for each trade, even if you have more than one trade on a drawing, I would upload that drawing twice for each separate trade, and then you can select the drawings. So you could, I'll quickly show you, cancel. You can just upload the same drawing a second time and just call it the new trade, or even give the same drawing name, or rename the drawing for the trade that you want to do the takeoff for. Okay. Guessing that's a little bit slow. That's all. So we've had an error. Let me just reload it again. Happy camper. Oh, grabbing the wrong file. That's why. Sorry, guys. Oh, and that's not happy. Yeah, it'll show the files we loaded. These two are rubbish. I show yes, and rubbish. I show yes. That was the export, the Excel files. And we can jump into, hopefully that was the second one. No, I've jumped into the wrong one. And same as before, you can set the scale. Scale here, take that as save. And you can carry on measuring, or we can quickly do an earthworks measure here as well. This does end area measures for you. So we can quickly measure the area, the volume of this pool, or excuse my accuracy. So imagine this is like contours, and we'll just go in meters, save, and run through a second time. But this is for a quick earthworks if you don't have the more expensive AutoCAD and things like that to use. To save, so you can use this in cross-sectional, you know, where running along the road, where every 20 meters they give you a cross-section through the road. You can use this software to calculate your cut to fill on smaller jobs. If it was a big job, I wouldn't be using this. And what it'll do is throw the measure down here. So there's the fill. It's 183 cubic meters of cut that we need to do for the swimming pool. Any questions, anybody? Yeah, and as I said, much better to split your trades up and have a separate drawing for each trade. It just makes it much easier to read, see your information clearly. I'd highly recommend you work with that philosophy. Anybody got some questions before I jump onto the next module?
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
We have some questions in the group chat. I don't know if you can see it.
Sure I can. You want to just give them to me?
Okay, the first question is mine. I wanted to ask, for the measurement report, does it only measure in meter square, or meter square is the unit for the whole project?
Okay, so when you set your scale, that is determined here on what you use. So you either go imperial or metric.
Or meters. Okay.
And so being from New Zealand, I'm used to using the metric. And that's the default, because most people, it's just the Americans that go for the other. And once you've set your imperial here, you can decide on which inch.
Or the measurements I want.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good question.
And someone else asked the question. He said, does this software also calculate the percentage and the weight of steel in kilograms?
So it wouldn't, but in the materials, you'd be able to go and use the length to measure the lengths. And then in a material, so I'll just try and give you an example. In here, escape. So we've got this here. And another way to get the materials is on the right-hand side here. You can either right-click on the area you've taken, or you can just go down materials. And what you've got is you've got the 6.82. And if it was a 25 mil bar, I'm sorry, I don't know the measurement of it, but let's say it's 0.2 kgs per meter, and then you'd go in kgs. I don't know what the answer is, but it'll be something along the lines like that, and you hit save. Or you could work out the tons and then times it by the 6.8, whatever it is. Yeah. Hopefully, does that make sense? Any other questions?
For now, just 2 questions on the group chat.
Okay, awesome. That's handy. I didn't show you that. Quite handy as well. If you right-click on the measure, you've also got the opportunity to change its parameters or its properties, I should rather say. And you can change its color and choose. And also the line width, you can go to, I think the max is 5, and close. So you can change the color, same with the ticks and everything else. Quite handy for separating different elements of your work. Yeah, hopefully everybody's got this, a little bit of playing, and you'll pick it up quite easily. Okay, I think there's no more questions. I'll jump straight into the next module. To get out of here is quite easy. This shows you which page you're on. That was the drawings, and this just takes you back to the Methvin homepage. Okie dokie. So I'll quickly show you the Agile application next. This is my document control and project management software. So if anybody's used things like Asana, is that a question? Broke up quite badly. Okay, I'll carry on. So if you've used things like Asana and this, you'll find this really quick and easy to catch on. It's a really clever way of project managing teams and equipment and you name it. And what I've done is, or the long story is, in managing my IT crews, they started asking me to use these type of Agile platforms. And they first pointed me in the direction of Jira. And that was just too over the top, you know, too many restrictions. It's really designed for multi-million IT development projects. And then they showed me Asana. And this is sort of a hybrid of Asana and being tweaked for the construction industry. So the idea is we're in the main project here called Demo. And what you can do is either from there or here, create new sub-projects. And I'm just going to call it, let's call it notice to engineer. And we can add another one. I didn't show you this as well. So there's two types of projects, either the basic or the register. The registers, if you want to drawing register or communication register or anything where you want to create a list, and this option doesn't let you delete any of the tasks. So let's create a drawing register. And let's make one more, add, and call it. So the idea is, as you add columns, and I'm going to be a little bit lazy and just type in anything, but the idea is the columns is your workflow across, and these columns can be moved as and where you want them. But the idea is you from left to right, you'll have a workflow of moving your task around to know at what stage they are. For everybody to be clear. So let's say we have a notice to engineer, and let's put in just notice to engineer, and we can start with a new task, and we'll call it engineer 100. Oh, that should be 0001, but it doesn't matter. And in here, you can write a nice love letter to the client to ask him your queries, whatever it may be. Once you've sent it, you can tag him, if he's not registered or first time he's going to be using it, you can just type in his email address there, and same as before, he'll receive a notification as soon as he logs in. He'll have access to this document. And if he had logged in, for argument's sake, and starts typing in here his response and hit send, that would be have his name, his initials, and his response to your initial email. You can then log in and respond again. And what it does is it just keeps a good record of what's happening throughout this task. You can assign it to a colleague or to the client as you're going. I'm the only person in here, so I'll assign it to myself and give it an end date, and you can close it off. And next time the client logs in and responds, he may ask for it to say, oh, I need this 200 millimeters thick. If I could spell. And you suddenly look at that when you log in, that would have his initials and name. And you think, gee, that's actually a variation to the contract. What you can do is then add this to the variation column, project, and select the column that you want it to fall in, and that would be to be priced or under review, or whatever workflow you want to have in your columns across. And the great thing about that is then your variation team will pick it up and they'll run it through the process of to be priced, to review, under review, and then under review, internal review, under to be sent to the engineer for approval. Real handy tool for managing a job. Very collaborative. Everybody's working in the same space. You share the total projects shared on the top right here. If you want to only share, let's say, the notice to tenders column with the client, you then come in here and you share the project here, and you type in his email only in here. And same if you're in a task, so if you come in here and share, start typing in people's emails address here, they'll only get access to that project. At any time, you can go in and see who you've actually shared it with. At the moment, it's just myself. And same with this, you can go in here and share. At the moment, it's only myself. So this, if you share on the right hand here with the main share, they'll have access to all the projects. You just got to be a little bit aware of that. Any questions there, guys, ladies and gents? Quite handy for uploading photos for quality control and things like that. I've got an image here. Yep. And we can upload another file. Oh, that's in the variation. Add a few more tasks here. Oh, come on. We've got a whole lot of tasks, and let's see if we can upload some more images. I've got something here. And then as well, you can assign that to myself, because I'm the only person there again. And we give it a date of completion as well. And also you can mark the task as completed. If we mark a few of these as completed, I'll show you why shortly. So if we then jump into the files, at the moment we are on all the files, and it just lists them all. And if you jump to sort of the notice to engineers, notice to engineers, you'll see it's only got the one. So it automatically filters the files you've uploaded as per the sections you've set up on the left-hand side here. Progress, what it'll do is show number of tasks remaining. We've got 5 outstanding tasks and 2 completed to date. Real handy. Calendar, here you can, they always created on the date, but you can just drag them along to where you want them. And you can create a new task here as well if you want, and give it a name and say where you want it. Variations, you can change it to you can put it in any place you want. Drawings, now it's going to be in 2 separate subfolders or subsections. So it doesn't want to let me select the second one, which is not a good thing. You want to save changes, yes. So jumping out from there, yeah, you've got a few options. So all those correspondence where I said, imagine the client was writing, they'd be landing up in your inbox in order of latest email sent as such. And over here, it shows all the tasks that have been assigned to myself. I've only assigned 2, and that's them. And if you click on one of them, it opens up the task on the side, right? This is on the side for you to edit and make notes and change or assign it to somebody else or whatever. Any questions on that? I think that, oh, sorry, there's 2 other tools that I didn't show. Give me 1 second. 2 other options. So if we, a good example is, let's say you're working at heights and you want to set up a work procedure, you can come in here and turn it into agreement. And you come in here, you write your statement, you can give it a whole lot of structure as you go. Enter, tab, oh, come on. Tab, enter, tab, enter. And you write a nice story explaining how you know, the requirements to work at heights, the certification you need. And as soon as you share this with whoever's going to be working at heights, they'll have to come in and click the agree button, and until they have, it'll all be showing up as read until they've signed up and agreed that they've read and understand the requirements to work at heights. You can use this for subcontract agreements, all sorts of things. Oh, yeah. What else can I? Yeah, I think that sums up that one. It shows you it's an agreement there. Another option that you can use it for is for your quality and your quality and all the rest. You've got an option here to have a whole lot of sub things, and you can give them a nice name, your piling depth, your concrete you're using, the pile diameter, so on and so on. And as you sign them off, it date stamps them for you, and then you can write to the client saying, thanks, this pile card is now finished for your review. He can then log in and say, oh, I'm not too sure if that was, and dispute it and give his reasons why and hit submit. Everything gets logged as a history of the thing. Later you can come and say, okay, I've done that, I've signed it off for X, Y, and Z reasons. And if you hover over there, it'll show you've signed it off, it's been disputed, and then you've re-signed it off at a later stage. Excuse me. Just going to have a drink of water. Losing my voice already. Any questions before I move on to the next module, guys, ladies and gents? Guessing that's a no. Where is everything? I don't know why I can't find where all the comments are. Control more organization. Shall I carry on? Or is everybody happy with that? It makes sense?
Yes.
Very handy. Very, very handy. That's good. Very handy tool. A lot of people use this Asana and things for even taking minutes of meetings. Very handy. If you can type fast, unlike myself, what happens is people just take the minutes as they're going in each task and then assign it to everyone. Really quick and good way, awesome way for managing minutes of meeting and who's responsible for delivering what. Another thing that can be used really well is you have all your sites across the top and you have all your plant and equipment in each task. Also for each task, you'll have it, let's say, for your grader, your D6, and you'll have all these tasks, and depending on which site they are, you just move them across, and where you plan to move them, you just communicate that in the comments side. Very handy for that type of thing, for servicing equipment and all the rest. Okay, from this we'll jump straight into the Gantt scheduler. My Gantt scheduler is very similar to Microsoft Projects. I'm sure everybody would have had exposure to Microsoft Project previously. I didn't show you that as well. Quite handy with this is every task has its unique ID. So if you send that in a text or email, or sorry, I'm using the wrong short keys in the wrong computer. This thing is a pain. Let me do that again. Where am I? So if I control copy and jump into the email, it will send it to somebody. If they have access to that project, or that sub project in this case, and they just put that URL into their website, it just opens that task that you're busy talking about. Very handy. You've got the search as well here that will find just to engineer, and you can select that and it'll open up straight for you as well. Okie dokie. To get out of here, no easy way. Unfortunately, not as easy as the other one. Shouldn't have done that. I'm just going to sign in, sorry. Okie dokie, let's see if I've got I think I've deleted all my demos. I had a few. Program sample. I think that's the live one. I don't want to mess with that one. Okay. Just create a new one. So that just gives you the project start date you can set, and then you can change it at any time and give it a name. Again, and hit create. So anybody that's used Microsoft Project, P6, any of these tools, you pick up something like this very easy. You always land up with a whole lot of nothing. You can add tasks either from the menu here, or click the add here as well. Change the description as you want. Change the duration as you see fit. And if you select these tasks and indent and outdent, where's my indent? It creates a parent-child relationship. And because those are selected, I can also link them automatically, and it's linked them up nicely. Username. You can double click on the link. You'll see if you hover at the right place, it changes thing. Double click on the link, and you can change the lag time to 2 days. You can change it from a start to start and hit OK. So, real handy little tool for waterfall projects, showing the start and the finish date. You can add resources to it. And hit save. And then double clicking on a resource, you can, let me do it, I'll show you now. And resource, and you can add resource, we can add Richard, we can add both of us. And we could also come in here and add more tasks. And, sorry, finger problems, and link. So if I add my name, myself, to this task again, resource, and go add new, Richard. Okay, what it should do is, it hasn't done that, Richard and Richard. I'm just going to refresh that, it's grumpy. You'll see it's telling us that this resource has been over allocated. If you open up your resource allocation, yeah, it'll show you on this day, Richard is overworked. He's working 2 days, he's working 16 hours instead of an 8-hour day because he's working on both these resources. You can either drag it across to out of the way, and what that's done is it's turned that into a manual task and it's locked it at that date. So unfortunately, things will, it's the same, manual, and if you want to read up on it, it's worthwhile. But any questions? I think it's enough on this one. Everybody, there's one other thing I can show you. You can set, what am I trying to do? You can set the baselines, new baseline, and turn the baselines on, turn the critical path on as well. Check, we've got 2 critical paths. And there's the baseline, and let's say for some reason this task suddenly takes longer, and we're going to do that. It's taking 5 days suddenly. We will then show we were expected to finish here, and we are now running 4 days late. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
What if for project, let's say 1.8, I wanted to start immediately project 1.2 finishes? What function do I have to do?
Say that once more. You lost me a bit. 1.8. I want to what?
Yeah, 1.8. If I want 1.8 to start after project 1.2.
Yes. So what you do is you can just drag that from there to there. We'll then link it. And you'd have to delete this one unless you were worried that it could overlap, or you just delete that one. And sometimes you have to refresh because that should have jumped back. And now it starts straight after 1.2. So this tool, you can import and export from Microsoft Project and Primavera, and quite handy. I didn't show you one other thing as well. On the right-hand side here, you've got a communication option where you can send, you can add comments and discuss issues about the task as you go, and whoever you've shared it with will be able to communicate or see what's been said and be able to add or hopefully add some support or some knowledge to help resolve the issues. Okay. Any other queries or questions? Yeah, if you've used similar tools, it's quick and easy to catch on, and you can see there you've got 2 tasks assigned against that line item. Okay, if that's the case, I'm going to jump straight into the pricing module now. I'm going to be the first 3 are quick and easy to run through. This next one's my passion and my love. I will be boring some to tears, and if you aren't interested in this, I won't be offended in the slightest if you hang up and call it a day. Just a request is this is new software, and I'm trying to get exposure, so I'd much appreciate everybody if you could use it, tell your friends. The idea, it's going to be totally free for single users forever is the plan. And as soon as you want to share, with colleagues and other people, then the idea is that the cost will start increasing. So if you are leaving now, thank you very much for listening to the first half. The next half, I'm going to be boring everybody to tears for another 40, 45 minutes, depending on how many questions there are. It can often go on for an hour and a half. So if anybody wants a break now, let me know. Quick drink of water or anything. New pricing project is the title of the estimating module. Same as before, you land up with a whole lot of nothing to start off with. So just to give you a quick rundown on the tool, your menu's across the top. You can do most things from here. It's quite very helpful. You just hover over an item or icon, and it'll give you a tooltip just explaining what it does. This is your pricing table, and this is where your resources will be. You can't price without attaching a resource to an item. On the left-hand side here are all your projects that you've priced previously, and you can use that as well to set up a master for your project. Any project that you've priced previously, or the master you've created, can be selected from the right-hand side here as a master to use to import your previous pricing and workings from. So I'll grab one here, the old one, it doesn't matter. This one. So you've got a few options. If you're in the resource, this import all resource tasks, what it does is creates a full copy of the master project you've selected of all its resources and imports them in for you. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to jump back into the pricing, and this is where you import the client's schedule of quantities or start building your own just by same as before, clicking add new task. Yeah, as in most places, the task you're on, when you select add new task, creates a child usually. You can move them around as you see fit, doesn't matter. But today, to make life easy like you normally would, instead of typing this all out ourselves, we'll import from an example that is floating around here, and we'll just grab a couple of columns. Let's go right down to the bottom. Show you why shortly. Control short keys, control copy, and back here. So anywhere you just go control verify or paste it. You can right click and hit paste as well. This opens what I call my mapping tool. So Methvin won't know the order of the information that was sitting in Excel. So here you physically got to tell it, this is the item, this is the description, this is the quantity, and this is the unit column. And this one we can ignore for the moment. It's not required for pricing. And then we just hit import. When I hit import, it'll tell us if there's an error. I don't think there are any errors. There won't be any. If there was text, for argument's sake, if there was text in the numeric field, it would then come up and say this row's had an issue importing. And what it does after that, after any errors, it gives you the hash total, which will be that 1 plus 2 plus 10 plus that, all the way down, so that you can then double check that that total ties in with your Excel spreadsheet that you've imported the information from. So we go there, and there it tells you that hash total of all those columns there is 12,056. I mean 1,256. So what we've done now is saved myself a whole lot of typing and imported that whole schedule. At the moment, we can control all, and I'll just indent it and get started again. And that I'll delete. The same thing, control all, selects all the records, and control once just unselects the top record, and then we can indent that. And the idea is all the pricing we do now will filter up to the parent task at the top. Unfortunately, my wife has just gone onto a call now as well, so I hope we aren't going to have problems with the internet. It gets a little bit sticky when we're both presenting our screens and talking. Okay, so I just refreshed the screen there. That shouldn't take that long. Nothing should take long in this application. And then you run through and highlight the section 3s. So we've gone from you leave the top one because you want to indent all its child items to it. You do that for section 4. And then you can do it for all the subsections as well. Hold the key down, and voila. That's enough for the demonstration. So you give it the tasks, the hierarchy so all the total here will be the total of these 4 line items once you've priced them. So let's jump into cut to waste, and we can start. Oh, I didn't explain that very well. So you've got your item, your description. If you double click on the description, it lets you edit the description, and anywhere where you double click it, it lets you edit it. So these 2 columns are for the pricing. So if you want to edit the pricing, it's actually done in a worksheet. On this very last icon in here, you've got an option to open the worksheet. You click that, it'll open it. Or if you double and click on the cost rate, it'll open the worksheet as well for you to start pricing. So same as before, you get a nice blank form with nothing in it, and you add columns to it again. Same as before, you can add some structure to it if you want, and you can then start pricing the line item, and you can call this the labor and we can start with an excavator. 6 ton, and as soon as you hit enter, to ask you where you want to save it, and what it's going to do now is save this resource that we've started to create in the sorry, cancel. I'm doing that in a heading, and I should not be doing that. Sorry, it's already corrected it. So I'm going to delete that there, and I'm going to put it below here. Because we created already, it's sitting there in the database to select from now, and we can give it a rate. Let's say it's $85 per hour. And for this cut to waste, the excavator, let's say we want it to work at 10 hours HR per day. So you'll see what it's done is I can put in the 10, and then as soon as I start typing behind it, it actually ignores it. These cells here under the equation column are just like one cell in Excel. And you put in any equation you want there, and on the right-hand side, it gives you the value. So I'll give you some examples here. So if I go 5 plus 5, you get the answer of 10. If I go here, 5 to the power of 5, you get 3,125. So just like Excel, you can put in if statements, you can do greater than, less than, anything you can do in Excel, you can do in here. To be honest, you can do any computer programming in here as well. So you can go, same as Excel, this date minus that date, or all of the above. So estimating, I've got the easiest job in the world. It's the simplest formula for determining the cost of a rate or a line item. And all it is the true cost or the cost divided by the productivity. So at the moment, we've got the true cost. We know this excavator is going to cost $85 an hour. And what it's done is it's taken the 85 times that excavating working now 10 hours per day. And the great thing is you can type in the hours per day and it just ignores that for the answer. So now we know we've got that excavator there, and for a day it's going to cost $850. What it does is it takes the rate times the quantity that is in the schedule of prices. I'll just save this so long. I want to save changes and show you that. So here you've got cut to waste, 10 cubic meters at a rate of $850. So very expensive to be moving dirt at $850 per cubic meters. And let's say this is a small subdivision, and as I said before, it's the true cost. We've got the cost of $850 divided by the productivity. The productivity this excavator will do in a small subdivision would be, let's say, 85. So I'm dividing it by the productivity, meters cubed per day. So now it's going to cost to excavate that material from cut to waste, it's going to cost us $10. So as you can see, we're halfway through pricing this only, and we've spent 10 minutes or so changes. So if some of these projects that we get to price can be 7,000 line items, and you'll get a whole month and a half if you're lucky to price it. If you carry on at this rate, 3 years later you'll finish pricing. So this is where the advantage of estimating applications like this come in. You have the option to save yourself all the time and effort from using previously priced projects as a master and importing that. So we selected this project previously from the drop down here, and it's still sitting selected. Select close. It's still sitting here, and these are all the tasks these are all the scheduled the SOP items from that master. And there's two different ways to import your pricing. You can either drag and drop from the SOP into this SOP, and what it does is it copies that line item with its item description, unit and quantity, and the worksheet, full worksheet behind it. So let's quickly show you that. Backfill is a decent one, and then we can add this backfill here. So what it does, it's a real pity my wife's on at the same time. This would normally happen way faster. Yeah. So what we've done is we've now imported that line item from this schedule, and you can see it's got the item description, the whole thing, and then all you have to do is adjust that's 3.1.4 whatever, and let's say it's 55 meters that you need here. And same as before, if you want to edit your cost rate, you just double click on that cost rate. And what it's done is opened the worksheet for you. And this worksheet comprises two line items, and you've got a structures crew here at $1,200 per hour. And you'll see there's a difference here of one line item is black and the other one is green. And the reason for this green is it's a complex resource. So any complex resource, you can double click on the green and it'll show you how that labor crew rate is actually made up. And it's made up of a carpenter, general skilled labor, a crew truck, and so on and so on. And once again, you can see these are simple resources. You can double click in there and make changes if you want. But if you double click on a complex one, it'll show you how that carpenter's wage has been made up. And it's made up of normal hours, overtime hours, working days per year, and so on. The idea with the software, as I explained before, easiest job in the world, it's the true cost divided by the productivity. And here, the way the software works is a little bit different to Excel. Each one of these cells is sort of one cell in an Excel spreadsheet. But if you want to multiply these two cells together, the only way that you do that is to give each cell a variable name. Here is where I'm setting variables. And then once you've set these variables, you can start using them in an equation. The idea is once you've set all these variables, use them in the equations, you take your answer and you put it against a resource to determine, to give you a dollar value. So a lot to take in now. We'll just go through it step by step in another one. So I just want to close all this. So this is the trail from the line item that we imported. So if we jump back, you'll see here's our pricing schedule. By just dragging and dropping this one line item from the master in, we created this task ourselves, this simple resource ourselves when we were pricing the first line item. But by just dragging that one line item that I did earlier, it has to import every resource and because it was a complex resource, it imports its resource and all its worksheets and all its complex resources that are required to make it up. And as you can see, there's a hell of a lot of detail going into that one line item. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought, sorry. So if we jump back into this line item that we're pricing, if I try and explain the variables a little bit better, make it a little bit more simplistic. If we go here and go length, breadth, and depth, you can go in there and give them values of 25, 4, and 0.25. If we want to determine that volume, we've now sort of, what this is actually a basic programming language. It runs through a macro all the time, and you have to have set the variables first, and then you can use these variables in the equation after. It always has to be after. And here, to start using a variable, you've got to use open brackets, and you can select the labor, length, times the breadth, close bracket, times the depth, close brackets. And if I put in times, not plus, we'd have a better answer. And use the right brackets. So I don't know if you noticed earlier where the equation wasn't correct, the cell came up orange, just telling you that there's an issue with it. So what it's done is it's taken that cell, and that cell, and multiplied them all together and given you the answer here on the left-hand side. And if you wanted to here, you could even put in meters, and it'll just ignore the things. If you have to put things in brackets, it doesn't matter. It'll still just pull out the meters, and then you could times that by 2.4 to get it from cubic meters, 2.5 I can't type, to get it into cubic meters or sorry, to tons of concrete, for argument's sake. Does that make sense? Any questions so far?
Just one question. In the pricing sheet, the one in front,
Yes.
there was different columns for cost rate and gross rate, and cost amount and gross amount. Is there any specific difference between the cost and gross?
Yes. So cost is how much it costs to physically deliver the works, and the gross is once you've added your profit. So if we want to make 15% here, we'll go and add, let's say, 15% markup to the job. What it's done then is it's taken our cost rate of 236. That's how much it costs to do this cut to this backfill voids, and sorry, 236, and then it adds the 15%, makes it 271. You see, now we're starting to make some, the difference between that and that is the money that your boss will be taking home, hopefully at the end of the job, if everything goes according to plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to some more of that later as well, but great question. So, did I not save it? Oh, that's working somewhere else, sorry. So yeah, so the idea is you use these variables so that next time you drag and drop this worksheet into a new project, instead of going through and retyping it all, you just have to change the variable quantities for the new circumstances of the new project. And if your logic and your equations and your if statements and everything are correct, by just adjusting the variables, it allows for the variables in our really complex industry. The problem with the civil engineering industry is the complexity that you have, where nothing is the same. Every single job, your working area changes, your distance to the quarry changes, your distance to the work site changes, there are just so many variables that, and because of that, and lazy estimating, that's why people get, I mustn't say that, but it's very easy to make huge mistakes due to the complexity of the nature of each job being totally different in the construction industry. So that's where, if you spend the effort and time to get these worksheets working correctly, you can save yourself a hell of a lot of time and still have incredible accuracy if you put your logic together correctly. Okay, so I'm going to just delete this example of the variables that I was working with earlier and carry on pricing this line item for you. Delete. So we have got the excavator, and we have got, so now let's say we want to add a truck through there. Oh, look at that, you spell truck. And there we've got a true crew, and we've got a, we haven't got a very nice, let me grab, I'm not going to type in, sorry guys, I'm just going to quickly drag in another line item from here with some more resources in it. 225. Grab this into another one in there. Okay, well, we should have a few more resources now. And I'm just going to jump back and carry on pricing this line item. So let's grab another truck. So if you're already truck, you can actually, it'll put you quite close to the next, all the other trucks, because they'll stay in order. So there's a 12-ton six-wheeler at $103, complex resource. So if you double clicked on there, you'd see how that is made up. And let's say for this, we needed to do a, let's say to get it to the quarry and back is going to take 2 hours to HR trip. So now we have determined we're halfway through pricing that line item. We've got the excavator, we got the truck, and we got the true cost. It's going to cost to load or to send the truck to the quarry, load and return that 2 hours. It's going to cost $207. But as I said previously, we got the true cost. The easiest formula in the world to estimate is true cost divided by the productivity. The productivity of that trip or this truck is actually, it's tons. It's going to do 12, so it's productivity divided, true cost divided by the productivity, which is 12 tons. Caps lock sign, 12 tons. So that is converted into tons, but once again, we are pricing cubic meters, not tons. So to convert that into cubic meters, we need to go to times by 2.4 tons per cubic meter. Okay, so by doing that, to cut this material to waste is going to cost you, $51 per cubic meter. And we may need to add some tipping fees there as well. Add and go, let's indent that to the same level and go tip fees, clean fill. $7 per ton. So that's in tons. You need to convert it into cubic meters times 2.4 cubic meters per ton. It must probably be less than that, 2.1 at a push. It's not aggregate. Okay. So there we've priced one line item again. Very slow and tedious. Save and next. So if you click save and next, it'll open the next line item that's priced, save and next. And the idea is cut to stockpile. So to speeden things up, what you can do is you can come here and if there's cut to waste, cut to stockpile. And hopefully we've got a cut material something here. I'm just going to use that worksheet. It's not the right one. But you select a previous job and just drag it in. And this is allowed to cut to stockpile. It's a resource. It's not even priced up front as principal, so we don't need that line item. There we've got a line item for cut to stockpile. And then we can save and start pricing the next line item. And the idea is you'll just soak hole. I know I don't have one here, but let's just say it was a manhole. 1050 manhole. Hopefully you've got one priced there and you drag and drop it in. And you jump onto the next line item. And let's go back to that one. So the idea is we've dragged that in. What you'd do is you'd go through and make changes to these variables that you set up to suit the new job. And that could be things like it's now no longer a 105 diameter, so 1.2. And let's say the depth is now at 2 meters. And you'll see the pricing just changes as we make these changes. And then you can save it on to the next line item. Okay, and you'll see, so if you've priced things previously and it's a similar job that you've selected as a master, you can run through and price items relatively quickly. What did I want to add to that? Okay, so let's say we have, Control copy, we have a whole lot of these, Control verify. Oh, I'm using the wrong short key again. Sorry, guys. Control copy, control verify, control verify. And if you had to then go in here and search for that, control verify, and we've now found 3 line items that are identical. And there could be, in huge schedules, there could be thousands of these, or not thousands, lots of them. You select one previously priced line item, and all the rest must be unpriced. And all you have to do is click the link. What it's done now is it's used that same worksheet for all these line items. And if we jump into one of them, what it does is it shows you the schedule of prices line items that are using this worksheet now. And you make a change here. Let's say the depth is now 2 meters. You'll see this line item is now $536 because you've gone to 6 meters. Sorry, to 2 meter depth, and all the others are still at 226. As soon as you save your changes, you want to save changes, yes, it'll reprice all those line items to the 500, to the new rate, because we've changed the depth, and they should all be exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit more time to help you understand these worksheets. So here, for a pipe excavation, for excavating and laying a 225 concrete pipe, these are the variables, and this is just the way I've set them up. You can set them up any different way you want. But as you make changes to things like the depth, let's say we now jump to a 6 meter depth, which will be about the deepest you can excavate ever, and lay pipe. What it's done is that $500 a meter has now jumped to 2,800 meters. And the reason for that, I'll just run through the pricing of just the shield. Is here. If you hover over here, it'll tell you that DI reads depth to invert of 2. It hasn't corrected it. It's done all the maths right, but it's just slow. I'm just going to restart, sorry. And jump back in here. And I saved it. So when you have a look here, that depth to invert is 6. So the if statements read, if 6 is greater than 1.5, 1, else 0. So it is greater than that. So then it says, the next line it reads down and it says, let's calculate how many shields you need. And a shield's only 2.4 meters high. So what it says is round, and depth to invert is 6 divided by 2.4 will give you, it's probably 2.2 or something like that, times the shield switch, which is we determined here, 1. It leaves it, and then it rounds it up to the nearest value, because you can't hire half a shield. So instead of having 2.2 shields, you'll have 3 shields. And there we've determined the number of shields. Then we come back. So as I said before, the way the software works is you set variables, use those variables in equations, and then set those equations, or set the result of those equations to a resource. So here's our resource, shield, 3 meter shield, costs $100 a day. And the equation reads there, number of shields required. So you need 3 shields per meter. And as I explained before, it's the true cost divided by the productivity. Here, our productivity is 1.2 meters per day. That is determined through all these calculations here. And this, I have determined this from the bucket size of the excavator we're using, the number of cycles that the excavator does, and the then the amount of dirt, the loose volume of the bucket size. It gives us cubic meters per hour. You times that by the trench volume, divided by the trench volume, gives you your meters per hour that you're doing. And then I've used all of those equations to determine from the excavator and lay rates that I know from experience, the lay rates, the backfill rates, and all the rest. And then I've used the resistance formula for resistance, same as electricity, for those 4 line items. So it's 1 over EM plus 1 over the lay rate and so on, divide all over 1. And that gives you a production rate of 1.2 at 6 meters. But if you bring this to let's say only 1.2 meters and you don't need a shield, you'll see that production rate suddenly goes from come on, why is it not updating? Because I updated the wrong line item. Hours worked, sorry. 8 hour, let's make it 9 hour day. Productive hours. And sorry, I wanted to move the depth to invert to 1.2 so you don't need a shield. And then you'll see the instead of doing 1 meter a day, you can now do 21 meters laying that pipe. And your rate's gone down from $2,800 to $198 per meter. So as you make these changes, if you change your excavator size, you've got to remember to correct your excavator or your crew. You'll see I'm using a drainage crew here with a 6-ton excavator. And if you wanted to change your excavation production rate, increase it by using a bigger productive excavator, you'd have to come and select have I got one? Yeah. If you change, let's say we want to use a 12-ton excavator here, we can go to the excavator. Where's my excavator? Trench drain, backfill, production rates, material blind. How can I be so blind? Production, there we go. So at the moment I've got this working, doing only 40 cycles an hour. An excavator will do anything from 40 to 160. So let's say we're going to go really fast now. And the bucket size of a 12-ton excavator will be about 0.6. And the factor will stay about the same. And that makes it halves the price. And let's say we did that as well for the 6 meter depth. Instead of being costing $2,000, it'll only cost $400 with the bigger digger, going much faster. Before we were only doing 40 cycles because there were a lot of services in the way. So that'll cost $1,330, there you can see, because we're going much slower with the excavator. But if we were greenfields and there was nothing in the way and you could do 160 cycles, you'd be able to do that for $438. Okay, so that's the pricing side of it. And once you've gone to all this trouble of pricing in Methvin, any questions now before I get on to the more fun stuff? Haven't bored you to tears yet, everyone? Rattling on here. You must have some questions. Dead quiet.
I just want to know a piece of information. You said you can import from a previous project you've done before.
Yes.
So if I'm to do a new project on a hospital and I have a previous project of a hospital, how likely is it that all the processes in the previous hospital is the same as the new one? Don't the rates change, or is just a fixed?
So the rates will change, yes. And all these quantities and descriptions will change. So the more you've priced, the more coverage you'll have. So the very first job you've done will be really difficult because you'll have no previous prices to import from. But as you build up a bigger database, you'll have a much bigger scope to import from.
Okay.
Choice to import from. And you can import from multiple jobs as well. So I've been importing from this Tamaki Drive project, but you can then change if you've, let's say, need something from a totally different job, let's say from this GeoVert one that I've got, and I need a steel or a timber retaining wall. I can import that line item into, I don't think have I got footings, retaining, retaining walls. I'm not going to bother where I save it to. I'm just going to drag and drop it here. And now it'll have imported this new line item in here, but from a totally different master that you've selected. So the more projects you've priced, the more opportunity you've got to have priced and set up a worksheet for that scenario. And this one is similar. Yeah, I've got the height of the wall, the post foundation depths, and so on. So in the center of the beams, and by just changing those, it'll correct your pricing. Exactly the same as Excel. The only difference here is that once you've set up your worksheet and import them, there's never a mathematical error, because databases just don't make those. Where in Excel, it's so easy to make forget to add up a column. And if previous company I worked for, a colleague of mine left out a whole retaining wall worth 25% of the job, a small job that he was pricing. It's not a pretty start of a job, and you're tied by the end figure. It doesn't matter that he had the rates in there and everything, but it didn't add up to the bottom number. So at the end of the day, your contract is signed up on the bottom number. So you've got to do all of the rest of that work that you forgot to add in for zero. That's exactly what happened. And as you can believe, we didn't make money.
Out of curiosity, I want to ask, for all of this work for a project, how many estimators do they need? Because for one person, all of this is so much work.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of work, but when you do it for a living, generally, I price, my average job will be about $10 million to $50 million job, and I'll price all of those myself. The last big job I was on was 200 million, and there were 4 estimators. So,
okay.
and one job, it was 70 million, priced it myself, and that had 7,000 line items in a month and a half. If you know what you're doing and you have good software like this, it's not a problem. Okay, any other questions, guys, ladies and gents? I should rather say the ladies are leading the pack here by a long shot in questions. Any more questions?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I just want to ask if there's any shortcuts or keyboard shortcuts that are using in this software.
They aren't great, unfortunately, but if you right click, it gives you the menus here, and it'll show you what they are. So if you want to add a row, Control Insert. If you want to delete a row, it's Control Delete, and so on, indent, outdent, and so on. So it tells you what they are. There's enough to get around, but not millions, unfortunately. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. So often our clients can make life a little bit tough for you, and they can ask you to build a bridge and give you one line item lump sum. And the last job I priced, they were much kinder than that, and they gave us 4 line items: the piling, substructure, superstructure, and handrails. So little bit difficult to do this. If they only give you one line item, you can come in there and you can price all of the whole bridge. Let's say it's a $2 million bridge, all in one line item, but it just gets messy, very, very messy. So instead of doing that, what you can do here is create a sub-schedule by clicking that. And what it does is start creating a sub-schedule for you. And you can hit add there and start adding the detail, and you can start putting in yes, if I can type, and so on. And then to price that up, let's jump back here quickly because I've got one. And you jump to the very perform. And hopefully we've got a bridge here somewhere. And there's all the line items, and you can just go here and select them. And drag and drop. So from a previous job, if you've priced a similar job before and they've only given you one line item, you can just come in here. And you drag in the leaf items. Should have put that under the piling, it doesn't matter. And so on. And voila, as you're doing it, there we've got a nice new bridge. It's going to cost $263,000 for the bridge. And so the client is only interested in that line item. He doesn't care how you've come up with it. But for yourself, so you can understand what it is, yeah, it is just a piling subcontractor, but you've got the full detail showing you how you came up to that. And when you export or look at the client's report and you have a look there, all it shows is the bridge. All the detail behind it is lost, and you can then, all of these forms and stuff can just be exported to Excel. You can do the same from here. The schedule can just be exported to Excel. Okay. So let's say you're reviewing this job and you want to, and whilst you've been working on it and you did a takeoff of these 225 storm orders, and you suddenly realized that the client made a substantial mistake and he only measured 300, or he left a column out and there was actually, sorry, a zero out, and there's actually 3,000 linear meters of this. You may want to say, okay, let's try improve our return on this line item and say we're going to make 25%. And you'll see as soon as you change it, you could even change the selling rate, let's say, to 350, and it'll reverse the engineer it and tell you you're going to make 42%. And as soon as you change the markup of one line item, it locks that selling rate for you now. So all the others are sitting at the 15%, but instead of being 40%, you're now making 21%. You now have a markup of 21%. And because it's a competitive tender, you're thinking, we may not win this job now, but we know we're going to get this good return on this line item. So we're still happy to only make the 15% or 7%, whatever it may be, on the job. And so you can go in here and put in 7%. And let's say you still want to make 15%, so maybe 8.5 or something like that. And now you're making 14%, and you say, we're happy with that. We're going to be competitive. You send in your tender. You've selected, shortlisted, and hooray! You've won the job. Now you hope you've got the right rates. Come delivery time, this job, when you deliver it, suddenly that changes to 3,000 meters. Do you want to save changes? And you're going to have a very happy boss. Instead of making the 14%, you're going to be making 30% on this job. So understanding the job in its entirety can be very beneficial to an estimator, and and help to improve your chances of winning the job and improving your margin over time. Okay, so whilst we've been pricing all that up, every line item, every dollar is tied to a resource as well. So if you have a look here, if the maths is done right, this amount here, 1.121 million, should be the same as the total here, 1.12 million. And if they aren't identical, you can double click here and it'll recalculate the thing. There was $1,000 difference. Yeah, so if you've set up your project really well and last minute during review, you've got 7,000 line items, and with a day to go, one of your suppliers says, this cut to waste, let's try to find a line item that we've got some money against it. Nothing. I may just do this quickly. Give me a second. The cut to cross-reference. So if you cross-reference a resource, it'll cross-reference, not cross-reference a resource. It shows you where it's been used. That one's been used nowhere. Which one? One of these will be. I'm just losing everybody. Cut to waste. There we go. Why is this a little bit? Cross-reference. So this shows you where this task's been, where that resource has been used across the job. If we double click in there, it'll open the worksheet to show you. And it's been used here, but it's been times by 0. So I'm just going to say we need to use the cut to waste. It's going to increase the value of this job dramatically from 1.1 million, not dramatically, but it's added $9,000. Okay, so imagine that this was a big number and could make a substantial difference to your whole tender, which it often can do. Your cut to waste can be a huge number. And if you've used this resource, which is a complex resource, if you double click in it, yeah, it'll show you how you've come up to the dates. And then last minute, yeah, for argument's sake, let's say you had to, the original tip fees you got was $20, $25, and let's say the loaded rate, yeah, and let's say it was 45 kilometers away from the site. Do you want to save changes? Yes, you do that, and you now, instead of $30,000, it was $30,000, and very last minute you get much more favorable information that you've got a tip site right around the corner, only 3 minutes from site. You are then going to save that that $20,000. So that, by changing that, and that change is made, if I cross-reference this resource, is made through all those resources. And often you can use your cut to waste in 60% of your rates. Can make a huge difference on a big tender. And then just by last minute making a change by cross-reference. You can also, for argument's sake, your boss suddenly says, oh, this 12-ton excavator that we've used, sorry, the 6-ton excavator that we've used at $29 an hour, we only own one, and it's flat out on another site. We need to replace that with a an external excavator, you can just go here and replace this resource everywhere, and you just go and find an external excavator and select and replace that. And what that will have done, I don't have another external one, but if it did, and you instead of being $29, it'll be, because of an external, you'll be paying, let's say, $35 or $40 an hour, and it'll increase your thing. But at least when you come to deliver the job, you'll have the right money in that. And that excavator could be used throughout the whole job. It doesn't matter whether it's in complex resources up at the top here. So these complex resources are the same as a, what do the Americans call it? I've forgotten the, not a stack, I've forgotten the term that they use, but it's just a whole lot of resources added together that you then use as one resource. Most software don't have the same capability as this, because they were done on much older technology. Most only let you, so this is called first principle pricing. So you can build up, imagine concrete from your sandstone and cement makes your mortar or whatever, and then you add the mixer and that, and you just keep on building these resources up. This lets you do it indefinitely. Most estimating softwares only let you have one level, and the really good ones let you have level 9 levels. This one lets you have unlimited. Okay. Any questions?
One question. Is it the job of the estimator to call like the companies or subcontractors to get the rates?
Yes, usually. Depending on the size of the job, sometimes I'll have somebody, or we'll have people do that for us. But generally I do it myself, yeah, on a smaller job. Okay. So in about a month's time, we'll have a new module for sending out. We've got one now. It's just in beta at the moment, for sending out your notice to tenderers through this. And this one's going to be quite advanced, way more advanced than the average one, where you can actually send out your life schedule, and they'll price either just by typing in their cell rates, or they can use Methvin to price it up and then hit submit, and the tender will come through with their rates in for your comparison. Great question. Any other questions? So there's a few really good resource tools here as well that slice and dice the work for you. So here shows you your section levels that you set up, your groundworks, your building, and what it does is it splits it up by your labor, plant, and materials. And what it does is it takes the levels that you set up in your resources and your project, and you can go down to different resources. So you could go to level 3 here, and what that'll do is show all it's very difficult to read in here, but it's now showing all the totals to level 3. So it'll show how much money you've got in your water materials. Before we were sitting at level 2, which just has your main ones, which is your labor, plant, and material. Labor, plant, and materials, and your subcontractors, just for sending to your accounting packages and things like that, to break up your costs, to track your cost versus allowable. There's also another great tool here, sort of what they call the 80-20 rule. So this is the full pricing resources, and it's a little bit different to the resource table that you have over here, because this only shows you the resources used in your schedule of prices. So the other one, here you've got a complex one, and there can be resources that make up this complex resource that aren't shown here, because it's not required, but they would be shown in this one. And what it does is it shows you where the money is, from the biggest dollars down to the smallest. And if you wanted to know where this that this carpenter's used, you can just double click on it and it'll show which line item it was. And if you double click on the line item, it'll open the worksheet and you can make changes to try and save money. It's a big dollar value there, $85,000. Yeah, any other questions? So, yes, a hell of a lot to take in. Generally, people that want to use the software would, the average person that's never used this would require 2 more sessions with me, one-on-one, to be able to actually get their head around it and understand it and use it. If somebody's priced with similar software before, they'd be able to run with this no problem from this demonstration. They'd have enough information. But don't be shy. If you are interested and want to use it, if you come to my website and contact us, all you have to do is go to live demo and set up a time for yourself, and we'll have some training together